How many of you would say that every person you've ever come into contact with had nice things to say, never gave you any problems, and just went on their way at work and always left you alone? It would be great if this was a consistent scenario for our lives. Unfortunately, all of us endure some kind of controversy on a daily basis. These situations can be described as conflict. The definition of conflict is to come into disagreement or collision, or being in opposition. We have all held full-time jobs, and we know the pressures that we face on a daily basis. Communication with your leaderships, consumers, co-workers will never be constantly harmonious, so understanding how to deal with conflict is vital to your success at work, to your personal life, and to your mental health. I manage a seafood shop and come into hundreds of customers a week, hundreds of co-workers a week, and just deal with people in the general public every day. So I would agree with Max Lucado when he said, "Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional." Through my research, I have found ways to help us understand workplace conflict, how to recognize it, and how to take appropriate actions to resolve these situations. First, we must realize that conflict can have both positive and negative effects on our lives. According to research by George Washington University, negative results of conflict can include aggression, anxiety, a sense of dissatisfaction, and most often reduced efficiency in your job. On the other hand, if you successfully manage negative scenarios and transform them into positive ones, you can reap many rewards. You can create stronger teamwork, enhance communication skills with your superiors and colleagues, and feel a general sense of happiness at the end of the day. Now that we have a deeper understanding of the term conflict, we can now learn to recognize these situations and how to properly handle them. We must learn to expect conflict. Rachel Zupek, author of 6 Tips of Managing Workplace Conflict, wrote, "We should decide that friction will emerge in the course of human relationships." She goes on to state that we should not fear it, but to see the opportunity to resolve the situation. Once we have attained the skill of recognizing conflicting scenarios, we need to decipher the style of conflict that you are dealing with. According to Communication the Handbook, there are 3 styles of conflict. Personality conflicts typically involve an individual's behaviors, beliefs, or values. Behavioral conflict is the need to control tangible issues such as resources, money, and just a general idea to further one person's goals and motives. And lastly, moral conflict exists when moral beliefs collide with another person's belief system. Now let's discuss some strategies that we can learn to help us overcome workplace problems as they arise. Empathy is described as identification with and understanding another person's feelings, situations, and motives. We need to be able to understand another person's positions and to be able to put ourselves in their shoes to make an impact at our place of employment. Dr. Stephen Covey of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a modern advocate who strongly urges us to deeply understand another person's feelings and points of views. Another thing is listening. Listening is arguably the communication skill that makes the biggest difference in the workplace. There are many types of listening skills, but I've chosen a trait that we should avoid and one that we should practice on a daily basis. The negative trait is called emphatic listening. This is when one understands and checks facts and understands another person's feelings, but uses this information for their own personal motives and benefits. Facilitative listening is when one listens, understands fully, and is concerned about helping the other person with their problems. Listening and empathy are character traits that many do not possess and are considered spiritual gifts by many. But how can we apply these to our work lives? First, we need to find the right approach to conflict and resolve the problem. Communication the Handbook states several resolutions to interpersonal conflict. There are 2 strategies that we must avoid at all times. The first is avoidance. Avoidance occurs when you refuse to confront conflict and manage it. This tactic causes mental stress and can damage relationships with colleagues at work and in your personal life with your friends and family. Accommodation is defined as giving in to someone else's demands in order to resolve a conflict. Accommodation can cause unhealthy feelings of bitterness and also resentment towards authority and should also be avoided. Positive resolutions to conflict include collaboration. Collaboration is when both parties get what they want from the situation. These agreements involve teamwork and shared problem-solving techniques and usually have positive outcomes. The most important resolution to conflict, though, is compromise. Compromise is when each individual sacrifices some of what each or her wants in order to come to a common agreement. This approach shows an act of selflessness from both parties and a willingness to work together. I have explained what conflict is and how it can affect us in our daily lives. These strategies can help you in your decision-making when conflict arises. Conflict is an everyday task that must be confronted with the right attitude. This knowledge can be used to help loved ones, co-workers, and most importantly, yourself. Thank you.